In today's news, we see COVID-19 active cases in the BVI rising to 1,286.
JOMA Maintenance Technicians receive certification in English as a second language.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ronald Georges says that the public's actions are further compounding the COVID crisis.
And we take a look at the fact that key solicitors Rawat, King, and Harrikissoon rushed to seek to be admitted to the BVI Bar after COI proceedings have commenced. Should their actions warrant a concern, and should COI hearings be considered null and void?
All that, viewers, and so much more, along with the BVI government kick-starting 21 days of fasting and praying amidst the COVID surge. We have all the details on today's edition of 284 News.
You value traditions.
Today,
You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Welcome everybody. It's Monday, July 12th, 2021. We're coming to you out of the British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And my name is Javon Wilson, of course, bringing you live updates from across the weekend. And of course, as we head into this new week of news, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Now, topping our headlines, the Minister of Health, Honorable Carvin Malone, is now imploring undocumented persons who are sick with COVID-19 in the BVI to seek medical care, and of course promising that they would not be penalized. He said, and I quote, "The fact is there are undocumented persons who are afraid to come out, but I have had conversations with the Minister of Immigration, Honorable Vincent Whitley, and he has already indicated that we would have no repercussions for those persons who need medical assistance. Go out and get the assistance that you need." End of quote. Now, viewers, that was Honorable Malone making the announcement just recently. In addition to that, we do see the government of the Virgin Islands kick-starting what they're calling a 21-day of prayer and fasting for the safety and protection of all residents as well as the economy. Now, the 21 days of prayer and fasting commenced yesterday, Sunday, July 11th, and of course will run from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily for 21 consecutive days. Now, Territory Leader Premier Foy is asking all residents to join in.
Indeed, these are very pivotal points. Now we're continuing on. The COVID BVI cases presently stand at 1,286. Of course, Jovan, we're going to get into those details. In addition to that, the online work permit system that will enhance the way that work permits are processed has officially been launched virtually today, Monday, July 12th. Employers, employees, and all respective public servants that are normally involved in the work permit processing will now have a platform that will streaming the process as well as reduce the in-person contact, which is essential, of course, in the midst of a global pandemic. Employers and employees will be able to track the progress of applications on the new platform, which will also notify users if they are missing any supporting documentation and would be needed to move forward their application. Now, additionally, viewers, a user manual for employers and employees is provided so that potential users of the online work permit system can familiarize themselves with the material before the virtual launch has taken place. Happy to hear, of course, that this is moving us in a much more user-friendly direction.
And certainly one of the perks that comes within this pandemic, they said out of, there's always opportunity in the middle of chaos. So I'm really happy to see the transition because it is usually a very lengthy process, Ron.
Correct.
Viewers, as we head straight into today's newscast, the British Virgin Islands has been declared to be at an advanced stage of community spread following the latest published statistics, which revealed that a total of 1,286 active cases are now in the territory. Now, this is according to the acting chief medical officer, Dr. Ronald Georges, who made the statement during a July 11 COVID-19 update on social media. Listen in.
The BVI is now in a situation of advanced community spread. As of the 10th of July 2021, a total of 5,692 tests were done over the period 3rd July to 9th July and returned a total of 989 positive results. This brings the total number of positives to 1,147 as of the 10th of July 2021. for an average of 17% of persons sent or attending for screening having tested positive. Today, we have 149 additional positive results from the 9th of July, and those have so far been reported, with a further 111 samples left to be reported on.
Now, viewers, Dr. George has also said that in the flow of the new positive cases, there appears to be steadying, and he also expects several more cases to be recorded within the coming days. Let's listen.
The BVI has seen exponential growth in active cases, with a trend of increasing number of daily reports of new cases. The trend in increasing daily reports of new cases reported appears to have stabilized. However, large numbers of new cases are expected to continue to be reported for several days. As I would have previously described, we expect that the momentum and increase of new cases will continue for a few more days based on previous exposures. I must appeal to everyone's understanding that the BVI is now in an advanced state of community transmission, and therefore all persons are presently at risk of contracting COVID-19.
Now, viewers, at the time of the press update, Dr. George has also revealed that 18 persons were awaiting to be admitted to the hospital. He broke down the statistics further as it relates to admissions thus far. Let's listen.
As of writing of this report, there were 18 persons at the emergency room being evaluated for admission, and this includes the triage tent. Since the 4th of July, we've had the following admission statistics. There's one person who was admitted to the emergency room and died. There were 12 admitted to the ward. There were 4 admitted to intensive care unit. We had 2 deaths. And of admitted patients, 16 have been unvaccinated and 1 has been vaccinated, for a total of 17. This does not include the 18 persons currently being evaluated at the hospital. I know that persons may be feeling anxious, but it is important for persons to remain calm at this time as we all work together to bring this situation under control. I know we can do it if we all do our part to contain and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Now, with these alarming statistics, Dr. George has urged the public to refrain from exposing themselves to the virus by practicing the necessary public health protocols and, of course, by getting vaccinated. He said, and I quote, "Geographical distribution and contact tracing are irrelevant at this point because we are in a situation of very high transmission and community spread throughout the territory. This means that all persons must simply take urgent and immediate steps to limit their exposure to stop the spread of the virus. Testing is less important at this time. It is less important than strict adherence to public health measures and, of course, getting vaccinated. These are the 2 most important measures for the public to take immediately." Ron, here we see over just a matter of 24 hours, the chief medical officer coming forward and acknowledging the fact that we are now in an advanced state of transmission. I think when you look at the public records across the globe, the BVI is definitely within a matter of 10 days been able to make that high risk list, which is unfortunate in accordance to our population. But we really have to, at this point, continue to abide by the protocols, because more than likely that Delta variant that has been suggested or suspected rather by the chief medical officer is certainly here, and we do know with that it comes aggressive transmission, and I think that has been the reality we've been seeing so far.
Jovan, I think that's one of the key elements in really coming to the conclusion that the Delta variant is in the territory because of the rapid rate of transmissions. We could come to no other conclusion. One of the things that we've been hearing since the inception of COVID-19 is that the situation is very fluid, and I think we're realizing more and more with our records and continuing to receive data from the BVI Health Services Authority. So we're going to continue to keep you posted, of course, but those were the most recent as of press time. Continuing on the local scene, recent BVI High Court listings dated Monday, July 12th, 2021 before the ladyship, the Honorable Madam Justice Vicky Ellis, show that 3 of the key solicitors in the ongoing Commission of Inquiry are rushing to seek to be administered to the British Virgin Islands Bar. The trio, Bilal Madhad Rawat, Andrew Ian James King, and Rhea Harrikissoon, are being represented, of course, by Walkers in their request to the High Court for to be admitted to the BVI Bar. Now, King and Harrikissoon, applications have been met with an objection. Now, the matter, viewers, of their call to the BVI Bar was raised during the COI proceedings. They refuted the argument, yet turned around and took the advice and now have been listed on the court listings to be called. Now, the matter of having work permits was also raised, as all individuals are undoubtedly being compensated for their service. Now, have the solicitors the solicitors apply for a work permit, and have they done so? Now, does this bring into question, many are asking, whether or not the current Commission of Inquiry led by the above-named individuals has been operating within its right to conduct proceedings in the territory of the Virgin Islands, and whether or not the COI proceedings so far are deemed null and void. Jovan, since the inception of this publishing story, many persons have weighed in on the conversation. Many of the persons saying, well, it's COI, so it's not necessarily a court hearing. However, one of the things that I think is important for us to realize here is this matter was brought before the COI. There were questioned on it, they refuted, and now in turn went behind the back and tried to get this documentation. I think that in of itself says that something is up and something is definitely not clear and accurate. And I think as a territory, we need to continue to pay very special attention. Our leaders particularly need to pay special attention to these types of matters. Now, of course, viewers, on 284 Media, we carry a number of polls, and we have been asking viewers whether or not they think the present COI needs to be halted based on the present COVID-19 situation in the territory. If you want to participate in that poll and lend your voice, you can do so by visiting 284media.com. So far, believe it or not, many persons are in support and saying that they do believe that the COI proceedings should continue despite the COVID-19 proceedings.
Yes, and you know, Ron, you made a very valid point about accountability there. And in recent times in particular, we've seen the BVI populace really holding our leaders to accountability, and we have to do the same as it comes to this process. This entire process in its entirety is to really determine a transparent and accountable process for governance, and we have to ensure that they too are abiding by those protocols.
Absolutely. Viewers, still ahead, former Governor Augustus JU Jaspert makes the Queen's Birthday List honors 2021 after calling a COI, and the top doctor is concerned about the public's behavior in these times of crisis, employers included. We have all this and so much more. After a word from our sponsors, you're watching 284 News.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. More local headlines. We see the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ronald Georges, within his July 11th update, saying that he is concerned about the public's behavior in the midst of this current upsurge. Now, employers mandating employees to test before returning to work, persons abusing health staff are just a few among the concerns. Let's watch.
We are concerned with a number of inappropriate behaviors being exhibited by members of the public, which are not helpful and potentially dangerous to all of us. For example, it has been brought to our attention that employers are demanding their employees to be tested before coming to work. We have persons not following the testing schedule and are testing at inappropriate times. There are persons not adhering to public health orders. There are persons who are being abusive to the health staff. There are persons not adhering to the general stay-at-home order. There are persons who have tested positive who are not disclosing to their loved ones at home or their status and not taking precautions, among other issues. People, we have to change all of these and act responsibly to stop community spread and stop endangering each other. It is important to note that the government of the Virgin Islands took the approach of a voluntary stay-at-home order and closure of some businesses' operations to limit and curtail the current outbreak. The onus was therefore placed on the public to police themselves and behave appropriately to avoid a hard lockdown and its damaging effects on the society and economy. It is therefore imperative that persons behave appropriately, and at the same time, the Social Distancing Task Force and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force will be further engaged to ensure compliance with measures which we have already outlined, and will include the issuance of tickets and fines to offenders. Out of concern with all that I've mentioned before, we are now forced to change our current strategy. The current strategy for managing the outbreak is now shifted to limiting person-to-person contact, isolating all sick persons and household contacts, changing the testing strategy to dissuade mass testing, increasing vaccination coverage, managing ill persons, and building resilience and capacity within the health system to manage the upsurge.
Now, viewers, Dr. George is in trying to mitigate the situation, had this advice for the BVI public. Let's watch.
So at this point, the following advice is given. Under limit person-to-person contact, persons should stay at home and respect the stay-at-home order. We are not in lockdown, but we should limit all non-essential movements. Persons should stay at home and respect the curfew order. Again, this is to limit non-essential activities and opportunities for person-to-person spread. As far as possible, persons should stay within your home bubble and limit contact outside of your home circle. In terms of self-management of sick persons, all persons who are sick are advised to stay at home and immediately self-isolate. They should not seek to go to get tested. This is counterproductive and may cause additional spread of disease. They should not go to a physician or healthcare facility until advised to do so or before calling ahead in an effort to avoid infecting others. The online symptom checker is available, and persons who are sick should use the online symptom checker to record their symptoms. Persons who stay at home should also follow isolation guidance, which will also be made available. So we have two items there: the online symptom checker, which is checked regularly by the public health staff, and the stay-at-home isolation guidance. Persons who are severely ill or experiencing difficulty breathing or severe dehydration should call the hotline, the medical hotline, at 852-7650 or call 911 to get further advice or to summon help.
Viewers, Dr. George has said persons should stay at home and, of course, respect the stay-at-home order. While we are not in a lockdown, he said we should limit all non-essential movements. As far as possible, persons should stay within their home bubbles and limit contact with outside circles, Dr. George has added. Ron, again, a very dire situation. Here we see Dr. George is really appealing to, and when we look at the statements released by both Dr. Georges and the Honorable Premier just a day before, you could just look at their demeanor, and it's saddening, because we are definitely in a sad state at this point, and it is critical that persons continue to abide by protocols to really reduce the curve that we've been seeing recently. I agree.
Jovan, I do think that we've seen quite an increase in movement. When you canvass the community, it is pretty much no operations. The businesses that may not have been mandated to close, they've closed themselves.
Yes.
It's almost as though we in the BVI have put ourselves self-lockdown, a self-imposed lockdown, and I think that speaks volumes to the situation, and that the residents have realized the urgency of the situation. So we definitely realize that there's quite little activity across the community.
Absolutely, and of course, viewers, there's still so many questions left to be answered. We're trying our very best to get in studio at this time the Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Carver Malone, as well as Dr. Ronald Georges, both of whom we have contacted, and we're waiting on a sure word, an affirmative word, of course, to get your questions answered.
Continue on, a former governor of the British Virgin Islands, Augustus JU Jaspert, was recently named one of the Queen's Birthday Honors 2021 after calling for a COI in the territory of the Virgin Islands. Now, the Queen's Birthday Honors for 2021 are appointments by some of the 16 Commonwealth realms of Queen Elizabeth II to various orders and honorees to reward and highlight good works by citizens of those countries. Now, the Birthday Honors are awarded as part of the Queen's official birthday celebrations during the month of June. Now, in addition to that, the honors for New Zealand were announced on June 7th. Now, Augustus James Jaspert received the Order of St. Michael and St. George for services to British foreign policy In January 2021, directly before leaving office, Jaspert called for a COI, citing, and I quote, his office had received a litany of complaints regarding a lack of transparency in the government. Now, Jaspert officially announced on January 18, 2021 via a Facebook post that he decided to issue a commission of inquiry in accordance with BVI's Commission of Inquiry Act. Jaspert said, and I quote, the commission will look into whether corruption, abuse of office, or other serious dishonesty in relation to officials elected or statutory or public may have taken place in recent years. If so, it will consider the conditions which allowed this to take place and make independent recommendations for improvement, Jaspert said in a Facebook post. Now, upon leaving office as governor, immediately Jaspert took up a post with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson as interim head of Downing Street. Now, the two had previously worked together when Johnson served as UK Foreign Secretary. The new Prime Minister's delivery unit, for which Jaspert is serving as interim director, is said to have been created to provide, and I quote, the strongest possible approach to support the successful delivery of the government's agenda based on the recommendations of a review by Sir Michael Barber. Now, in April 2021, during a House of Assembly sitting, Leader of Government Business, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, admitted that a breakdown in the relationship between his government and former Governor Augustus JU Jaspert's office is partially why a commission of inquiry was launched in the territory. Foy said, and I quote, I believe this COI announcement may have been driven in part by unfortunate and sometimes personalized political disagreements between the elected and the unelected arms of government and by breakdown in a relationship of trust between them. Now, is the former governor being rewarded by the UK for his role in calling the Commission of Inquiry? Was his role and his sole purpose for calling the COI an attempt to be praised and rewarded by the UK government in the name of services to British foreign policy, while placing, of course, the BVI on a national stage to be ripped apart? These are some questions, Jovan, that are being asked, and they're heavy, but they're very valid and sincere. And I think when we look at the chain of events, we have to ask these questions. When persons take actions of such, and then you see the repercussions for their calling a COI, essentially it would appear that he is being rewarded by the United Kingdom government. So we're going to be, of course, closely watching this story for you viewers.
All right, there's quite a lot to get into right after the commercial break. JOMA Maintenance Technicians received their certifications in English as a second language, and Mr. Guy Hill has been appointed as the new superintendent at Her Majesty's prison. All that and so much more after a word from our sponsors. Stick with us.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Now on to a very positive story. 4 maintenance technicians of JOMA Properties Limited received certifications from the H. Lavity Stout Community College's Center for Professional Development and Community Education in English as a Second Language Level 1 on June 30th. Manager for the Center for Professional Development and Community Education, Mrs. Veronique Forbes-King, stated that the course's participants, Jose Faulkner, Victor Nisbet Faulkner, Louise Alacrata, and Tony Pachardo, were able to manage a condensed version of a 12-week training in just 8 weeks, having attained an overall 70% pass rate. Providing remarks at the ceremony, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Arlene Smith-Thompson, said, and I quote, "Here at H. Lavity Stout Community College, we take pride in the variety of programs that are offered at the Workforce Training Division. We are always interested in training opportunities such as this ESL workshop that offers specialized pathways to achieve certain targeted goals with a short-term frame." Dr. Smith-Thompson continued and said, as we seek to expand our technical and vocational offerings, as we really open avenues to offer even more industry certifications, we can certainly envision partnerships such as the one we have developed with JOMA Properties Limited, evolving and growing as we build the workforce capacity of these Virgin Islands. Now, the overall deliverable of the specialized training course in English as a second language, Level 1, focused on effectively demonstrating conversational proficiencies, exposure to basic grammar and vocabulary, and basic reading concepts. For this particular course, emphasis was focused on the spoken form to enable participants to interact with clients in the construction and general maintenance field, as well, of course, as within the organization. The workshop ran from April 7th through May 26, 2021, and was conducted on-site at JOMA Properties and facilitated by a Spanish lecturer in Humanities, Social Studies, Sciences, and Communications Department, Mr. Ronald Massicott. Now, Chief Operations Officer at JOMA Properties Limited, Mrs. Fiola Wilson Creaky said, and I quote, "As an executive, I know that effective communication is key to the success of any business. Simply put it, if you cannot clearly say what you need, it will pose a challenge for you. And in addition, if you cannot understand the instructions that are being put to you, it can result in a range of problems that may cause inadvertent errors with possible serious consequences." She continued by saying, "I want to say to my team here once again that I am extremely proud of you all. These maintenance technicians are not only hard working and willing in their day-to-day duties, they exemplify what an employer would want if they are willing to learn and never shy away from the professional development opportunities that we present them with. Keep striving," she said, "and grasp every opportunity firmly with both hands and keep moving forward. You are all an inspiration, but I continue to be proud of you." Now, in closing the ceremony, students respondent Mr. Victor Nisbet Faulkner showed his appreciation and articulated his thanks to HLSCC and JOMA Properties Limited in, of course, English, which was well received. Jovan,
Wow.
Very positive and highlight great news, JOMA Property, and of course the partnership between H.L. Avenue Style Community College to really push professional development. You know, we love to see it here. We love to see persons training and bettering themselves. So kudos to the gentleman, and also kudos to JOMA Property for seeing it fit to want to better their employees and make sure that they are English proficient.
Well, you know, I love it, but it's also a culture that we get to celebrate here, right?
Yes.
Here at CCT. Investment in the human resources is so important and critical. Yes, there is always a selfish component. It makes the business better, but really and truly, when you're investing in somebody's development, you're really preparing that person for life. And so we really want to applaud it every time we see it. Definitely
Love
want
to
to
see
applaud it. And of course, all the best to JOMA and company. Now, we see some positive news here as well. Her Majesty's Prisons received a new superintendent with the appointment of Mr. Guy Mitchell Hill. The appointment was made by His Excellency the Governor John Rankin, CMG, with consideration by the Public Service Commission on a contractual appointment for a period of 2 years that took effect on July 3rd. Mr. Hill has more than 20 years of extensive experience in the public service, particularly law enforcement. He served in various ranks at the Immigration Department, including the leadership role as the Deputy Chief Immigration Officer prior to his retirement. In 2018, he holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a minor in sociology from the University of Texas at El Paso, along with several training certificates in the area of criminology, surveillance, supervision, and investigations. Now, viewers, while serving within his new role, Mr. Hill will be responsible for the efficient and effective management and operation of Her Majesty's prisons. He will also serve as the government's chief advisor on all matters pertaining to the prison management and rehabilitation. He supersedes Mr. Vern Gard, whose contractual appointment ended on July 2nd, 2021. We want to send hearty congratulations to Mr. Guy Hill within his new capacity, and of course, wish him all the absolute best on behalf of 284 Media and wider BVI. Viewers, for now, that is all the time we have, but you can definitely check us out via our website, 284media.com. We're also on Facebook at 284 Media and Instagram and Twitter at 284 BVI. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. I know there's a lot going on, but I still want to wish you a happy Monday. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Take care.